Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. This is going to be my patch 10.0.7 Demonology Warlock, I guess, feedback video, document summary, something like that, whatever you want to call it. Now, last week we saw a handful of changes being announced to Druid, Rep Paladin, I think Shaman, a handful of other classes that got either changes to the talent trees or tuning or things like that. So I wanted to give feedback on 10.1 stuff, but with 10.0.7 actually having changes to classes, I felt it'd be a good time to start giving feedback now. A few days ago, the class tree came out, the video-wise. Today, Demo, hopefully soon, Destro, and then hopefully soon that, going to be Affliction. So now, I wanted to start with Demonology because I enjoy Demonology. I think it's overall similar to where it was in Shadowlands, playstyle-wise, but there are a couple things that could change to make the spec much more enjoyable, better, and just more competitive in competitive settings, whether you're PvE or PvP based, which I am not, but hey, I would assume things still do carry over there. So as always, any week warriors, add-ons, profiles in the video you see, links to Twitch and Discord down below where they're all for free for you guys. And I also want to give a shout out to my patrons, as always, before we get too far in the video. Guys, thank you for support on Patreon a million times. I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below and other various social media links and things like that. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so off the bat, I will say there's a link down below pinned in the comment section, which should link to the 10.0.7 feedback document. At this point, it should have the class tree in there, as well as most likely Demonology, because this video is live. Destro and AF will follow when those videos launch as well, but I wanted to have a bit of a text reference point as well as the videos to, be able to reference back on the fly, looking at text versus watching a 20-minute video, whatever. It's probably a little easier. So now in the end, I could hit on every single node in the lot class tree saying, hey, it's good because of this, or it's bad because of this. But in the end, that would be an hour-long video. I want to hit on the nodes I think are important to address, talk about, maybe change, remove, alter, whatever, to make Demo, number one, more enjoyable, but number two, more competitive, cooldown-wise, just CD-wise, performance-wise, all the above. Because overall, I think it's relatively solid, but some nodes do cause a good bit of problems. So when it comes to the first part of the tree here, basically everything up here, I think it's fine. Vilephine's a bit awkward at times. Nobody likes pressing Vilephine. It feels bad, but it is what it is. We'll just work on that for now. Now, it sort of begins in this row here. So this is the Razageth build I'm playing. This is also the Nether Portal Cleave-based build. It's probably the most universal build in Vault of the Incarnates in Mythic Plus. And there are two talents here. The first being Inner Demons, and the other being Demonic Calling. But let's start with Inner Demons. So Inner Demons, I think, should be a 1-point node, because 1 point in this gets you at the passive summoning of wild imps regardless, and it's not 1 imp per point. Whether you have 2 points in this or 1 point in this, you will passively summon 2 wild imps. They rotate basically, but you'll have 2 wild imps active regardless, whether there's 1 point or 2 points. The same duration. The only difference is that you have a 5% chance with 1 point or 10 with 2 to summon a larger demon randomly, which, let's be honest, it really doesn't matter in the first place. The reason we play this talent is because of Power Siphon. It's not bad in the first place, but Power Siphon, because it gives you 2 passive imps before you pull the boss or whatever you're doing to just Power Siphon, sack them both, and have 2 stacks of Demonic Core. That's one of the main reasons why. It's not bad in the first place. It does work with Imp Gang boss, which is nice, but there hasn't been a build that's played 2 points in Inner Demons since beta. Nobody plays 2 points in this talent. It's not worth it. Make it a 1-point talent node, and honestly, there really isn't a difference between 5% and 10%. Make it 10%, make it a 1-point node, life becomes much easier, right? I will say, for any of the changes calling for, 2 ranks go to 1, there could be some retooling of the tree needed for talent usage and all that stuff. I'm trying to say in general, this node feels very bad being a 2-point node. At 2 out of 2, doesn't really give any extra value, and you're wasting a talent point. So, Inner Demons, number 1. Now, number 2 is Demonic Calling, and it falls under a similar sort of area of Inner Demons. Now, it does give you a 20% chance versus 10 to proc instant cast dogs, which there is a bit of a difference. I've seen the math on it. It's not massive, though, right? In the cleave-based build, you play Demonic Calling or Vile Fiend for just simplicity, flow of rotational, whatever, all that kind of stuff. I do sort of feel this falls under the same umbrella of having of a 2-rank trait being a bit awkward. The first point, having that chance to proc an instant cast dog set, is pretty big. Just giving you the actual chance to do it, right? You're casting so many Okay, let me rephrase that. You're casting so many Demon Bolts as Demonology, with imps randomly expiring, Demonic Meteor, or Demonic Knowledge, whatever this thing is, all of Power Siphon, all the things you can do to just get more and more Demon Bolt procs. chances are pretty high if you're playing this ability. It's typically active when you cast your dogs again. So the rank 2 point just seems a bit awkward. If you can take both these from two rank 2s, like just, you know, rank 1, like 1 out of 1 traits, I think that'd be solid. But once again, it might take a bit of retooling as far as points are concerned, or just add more value to them. Find some way to address that, because it just feels sort of awkward and a bit clunky, but, you know, it is what it is. So now, number 3 in this row, basically every node is sort of a bit awkward at certain points, except for this one here. Number 3, Grimoire Felguard. So Grimoire Felguard used to be a 1.5 duration. It was changed from 1.5 to 2 minutes with less than 24 hours before Shadowlands. Yes, Shadowlands went live. I believe it was Shadowlands. It might have even been BFA. Actually, I think it was BFA. I think it was BFA. It was changed with less than a... Yeah, it actually was. It was BFA. It was changed to a 2-minute cooldown with less than 24 hours before BFA went live. And it made things very awkward with syncing Tyrants being a minute or a 1.5 with Grimoires being 2 minutes. And for the life of me, I've never been able to understand why they made that change. It made life, you know, you have Grimoire, every other Tyrant, or every Tyrant if it was a 1.5, to being this weird 2-minute cooldown that you have a 1.5 Tyrant or minute Tyrant. It makes life really awkward. Now the problem is, like, if you make Grimoire a 1.5 cooldown, that also makes Wilfred's or Grand Warlock's design play awkward as well. I'm not sure the great answer here, but I can say that 2 minutes does indeed feel really awkward on Grimoire. I think 1 minute's too short, but if it's a Reign of Tyranny world, if they don't decouple these two talents here, which we'll get to in a minute here, in a Reign of Tyranny world, this thing being 2 minutes feels terrible, because you're casting it on pull, basically at 0 for simplicity's sake. Then 1:30 comes around, you want a Tyrant again, right? But this is on cooldown for half a minute. And then you hit the 2-minute mark, this is off cooldown, but you're holding it for an entire minute, which is literally half of its cooldown to line up again with Tyrant at 3. It really is, there's like not a great, it's sort of a lose-lose scenario here, but something with GFG timing needs to just be changed or altered. I don't know, but it's very, very awkward with Demonology, just in general. This is a point I want to bring up as well. Having 45-second Vile Fiend, 2-minute Grimoire, 1.5 Tyrant or 1:10 Tyrant with 20-second dogs with random chances to reproc dogs. Demo CDs are just really, really awkward. You have multiple abilities that just don't really align very well as far as timings are concerned. It's like juggling 5 different balls at once and trying to align them all into one just big... It just feels very awkward, right? Once again, I'm not sure how to address GFG. I think making it a minute is probably too low unless they nerf the damage a bunch. At that point, it's sort of whatever in the first place, but 1 point here would be sick. This max rank 1, and GFG... I'm not sure. Maybe maybe it's just a lost cause, and leaving it at 2 is the best play because of this being a possibility. But I mean, I think it's worth drawing attention to, but I don't have a great solution to it. It's just very awkward with Demo having a million different CD timings and things, right? So, moving on from there, we have Doom. Now, Doom's an interesting one because the last time Doom saw play was in Legion, when we had this awesome ability. We had a legendary. It was literally this, Kazakh's Final Curse, right? That increased Doom damage based on the Perpetua Vow. We had this really cool effect, though, that essentially made Doom playable. It was called Hand of Doom. We asked for it for all of Alpha and all of Beta, and Hand of Doom would be such a welcome addition to the Doom, I guess, row here, however you want to sort of do this. Now, the next few steps here get, I guess, suggestions, whatever, get a little involved, but try and keep up here because this is like, or try and stay with me because, like, so now, for example, I'm not sure how you work this exactly, but I would assume you want a node connecting to Doom that brings Hand of Doom if you're going to bring it back, right? You have Kazakh's Curse here, you have a Rift from the Portal here, which is very good, obviously, and you have Imp Gang Boss here. These two, I mean, you don't want to get rid of these nodes, right? But Hand of Doom makes Doom essentially, like, playable in any setting. Mythic Plus, rating, I mean, single target, stat cleave fights in general, because it's passively applying Doom. You're never going to apply Doom on trash packs ever. Even if it's good, really, probably most likely, in Mythic Plus. But having your Hand of Gul'dan apply Doom when it lands, huge quality of life increase, whether it's single target boss fights or AoE, everywhere you play Doom. Hand of Doom makes the ability feel so much better. Blizzard tried to make Doom work for literal 5 years now. Last time it worked was in Legion 5 years ago, whatever it was. Just bring back Hand of Doom. Easy fix, right? Now, the problem is, where do you put it in this tree? Because you have Kha'Zix here, which probably could just go in the first place, but it's whatever. You have multiple 2-point nodes here, right? Now, I'm not sure how you actually do that, because I would assume it's a 1-point node. But one thing I do want to draw attention to is Hounds of War. Now, this is a bit involved here, I guess, but like, theoretically, Hounds of War is also an awkward talent, and we're still talking about Doom here, FYI, keep that in mind. But Hounds of War, so Dreadstalkers are a large portion of Demo's damage in AoE, even in single target. You have abilities like Dread Lash, FTS, Carnivorous Stalkers. I mean, just a baseline 20-second cooldown in your dogs in general, right? 3 dogs ripped in the portal, right? You have all these abilities here. Guaranteed Dreadstalkers is third, so you get a third dog, Dread Lash Cleave, FTS chomping, chances to re-chomp and reapply FTS. You have things like Fell and Steel, other damage buffs to your pets and things along the way. Hounds of War is a very cool talent, theoretically, but I think it's been incredibly undertuned for the entire duration of its existence, which has been since beta, but it has to be, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong here, but there's so much value in Dreadstalkers for Demonology that if you make this ability, let's say rank 1 is a 10% chance, which is very, very high. Rank 2 is a 20% chance, like, which is way too high in the first place. But if you make the percentage too high in this ability proc rate-wise, Demo becomes RNG fest, and there's so much power associated with dogs, right? Let's say Ring of Tyranny ends up becoming a thing, and let's say there's times you can just chain, oh, I got a proc into a proc, so I got 9 Dreadstalkers from 3 cast in my Tyrant, comparatively to one person that gets 1, right? Like, so there's RNG here. The ability hasn't really ever been played anywhere, partially due to being undertuned. I mean, RNG, but it's a cool ability, but I feel like Blizz has to err on the side of caution with Hounds of War because of how strong Dreadstalkers are. And when it comes to that being the case, if it actually is, I just think it's better to remove it and put something else there. It's sort of hard to say. I'm not sure what to do, but I mean, I think a decent solution would maybe to be putting Rip from the Portal right here. It connects to the same node, essentially, being Demonic Meteor, which it literally just, it works very well. You can go Grimoire into this, or this into this, it's fine. Have a free node here, and you could put Hand of Doom here if you wanted. I think theoretically that sort of works. It might, there's, once again, these are both 2-point nodes, probably have to rework something somewhere, I don't know. But maybe Hand of Doom applies, maybe Hand of Doom goes the Inner Demons route. There's 2 ranks. Rank 1 makes the Hand of Ghoul and apply it passively, but it buffs the damage, right? It buffs damage like by 10% and then 20%. Like, maybe that's something you can do. Because as cool as Hounds of War is, it's just not played. It's undertuned, and it's RNG on top of RNG on top of RNG. And Demo already has enough RNG, believe me. So I wouldn't mind. I mean, I'd love Hand of Doom to come back. And to a similar extent, Hounds of War needs to be either redesigned to do something else with Dreadstalkers, or just remove it and put something else there. It's a cool ability. I love what they're trying to do with it, but it just really didn't pan out, I don't think, in the long run. So Hand of Doom, somewhere connecting the Doom here, maybe here, I'm not really sure, and just, you know, maybe can make that swap somewhere. But yeah, so all right, shifting gears to Fell Covenant. This is, I think, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, 6. This ability. So Demonology single target build, if you're in pure single target, plays Fell Covenant, Sack Souls, everything else. It is a conglomeration of Nether Portal, Demon Bolt synergies, all that. This ability at 4 stacks with a 20-second duration feels miserable, because number one, Demonology is not casting a lot of Shadow Bolts now. We have so many ways to get Demonic Core procs. I mean, you straight up number one, just have Demonic Meteor for like Soul Shard refunds potentially. You have Demonic Knowledge. You have 3 procs coming in whenever dogs expire. You have imps expiring. You have imp gang bosses giving more imps. Demonology is just swimming in Demonic Core procs, which are instant cast Demon Bolts. So unless you're like watching this like a hound, maybe pun intended, that was terrible. It drops if you're not paying attention to it. And when you're in a Nether Portal setup, for example, when you're casting Portal, Nether Portal ramp takes about, I mean, realistically about 15 to 17, 18 seconds, right around there. If you don't refresh this and then go Portal go and catch this at the very end of the Shadow Bolt, when you're swimming in Demonic Core procs, the thing just falls. And if this thing falls, when you're playing this ability, huge Demon Bolt buff with Power Siphon with Sack Souls, Godspeed your damage. It's really annoying to manage. It might not seem like it, but it was that way in Shadowlands too. It's just sort of like a weird, you're casting so many demon bolts. It should be elementary to maintain it, because there's Shadow Bolt theoretically refreshing, you know, the ability, but you don't cast many, right? So there's a few solutions here you can do. Number one, I mean, just like you could just reduce the stack count or increase the duration to half a minute. I think that'd be fine. I don't think it'd be that big of a deal. You should cast a Shadow Bolt once every half a minute, I would assume, somewhere. Adding like 10 seconds on would be fine. Number two, just make it, you know, 14%, I guess. What's the wording on this? 7% stacking 4 times. Make it like 14% and 2 stacks. That'd be okay too. Or you can make Demon Bolt add duration to Fell Covenant. So let's say you have to stack Covenant with Shadow Bolt. Still maintains the stack the ability and watch it kind of effect, right? But Demon Bolt, when you cast them, doesn't refresh it. But say Demon Bolt adds 3 seconds, 4 seconds under the ability, right? So it's 3 seconds. Let's say you have like, let's say you're going into another portal setup, right? You're casting another portal, you refresh Fell Covenant, then go portal, right? Typically when you're finishing the portal setup and ramp, you have like 2 seconds remaining on Fell Covenant, but you're casting multiple Demon Bolts during portal setup. And if they all extend by 3 seconds each, you actually come out with like 10 to 11 seconds remaining on Fell Covenant. It feels great. It would feel great, right? So I don't hate the ability. How do I word this? I don't like the ability, but I think there's potential to make it easier to maintain and just better in the long run. Maintenance buffs are a bit especially when it comes to like Demon Bolt damage, because in the end it's sort of, but I mean, it has been a strong build in the past. I'd love to see some changes to it. I believe this was actually Balespider's Burning Core, the legendary in Shadowlands, and I'm pretty sure they added a longer duration to it in like 9.1 possibly. But once again, the problem is now you're casting so many Demon Bolts, or you're in the middle of a portal ramp, or you're just, honestly, you forget about it every once in a while. It just falls. And if it falls, you have to cast 4 Shadow Bolts to get back to max stacks. And 4 Shadow Bolts when you have 4 core procs, and dogs are giving 3 procs. You have a million imps out, and you have this demonic knowledge effect. You have demonic meteor, you're swimming in shards. It feels terrible. You can just watch yourself drop down the meters, like from it feels really bad. So hopefully something around Fell Covenant is fixed or changed. Add a longer duration, make it 2 stacks and more damage baseline, and or I guess make Demon Bolt to add some duration to it. So yeah, multiple ways you can do it, but either way, I think that's one of the bigger traits, I guess, that needs addressing, because depending where Demo goes, Fell Covenant's not a bad option. If you can get the hybrid build of like Power Siphon, Covenant, Stack Souls working, it's strong. But you know, there's sort of that. And I don't know why this is here either. Soul and Power, for what it's worth. It feels very odd being locked behind Portal, but it is what it is. So, okay, moving on from there. So we have Nether Portal, Summon Demonic Tyrant, and Tauren Armaments. Now, okay. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. Guillotine. So Guillotine, since beta, has felt, since the bug fix on beta, which was very OP at that point, ever since the bug fix has felt incredibly undertuned and just underwhelming in Mythic Plus and AoE, basically everywhere. Like, it's gotten to the point people aren't even playing Guillotine anymore in Plus. They're playing a build that plays like down to here to Infernal Command, and then plays like Tyrant. It doesn't even play Portal, no Guillotine. And with this being a capstone trait and being more of your AoE capstone trait, if you're going down to here and grabbing 2 points in Infernal Command, something is off if people aren't taking Guillotine. Now, they increased the radius a bit on beta towards the end, and the damage a little bit, but I just feel Guillotine needs like substantial buffs and probably a radius increase as well, because it's a ground placed effect like Rain of Fire, but Rain of Fire you can stack multiples, and let's be honest, tanks pull out of it regardless. But it's not Demonic Strength, it's not Fellstorm, it's not Dogs or Implosion. They're going to sort of like follow your targets around, right? If I throw a Guillotine on the ground right here, and if I throw it right here, and the mob's right here, and the tank pulls them over here, it's dead. The ability is dead, right? So it's sort of high risk in a sense, medium risk, but high reward, or it should be, right? So tuning, just buff Guillotine. The cooldown's fine. Buff Guillotine for more damage, and I would say increase the radius too, because the radius is actually pretty putrid. It's just not very large at all. So Guillotine needs some attention. Hopefully it gets them at some point. When it's your main AoE capstone and you don't even take it in Plus really at all, it feels sort of bad. I will say some people do, but I've seen more and more builds myself included, not even bothering with it because it just seems like it's, you know, it's a button, it's a cooldown that you don't really want to hit because it just seems subpar. So coming out of here, we have Pact of the Ant Mother. I think this is sort of undertuned, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to skip it for now. So we have Nether Portal. Now, I don't want to beat a dead horse and talk about Nether Portal and, you know, one shard summons. I do think that, once again, Nether Portal should not say every time you spend soul shards, you summon a demon. It should be whenever you spend shards, you summon X demons based off the number of shards spent, right? Because number one, every time you spend shards makes soul burn a DPS game, which is a nightmare to explain to anybody, any kind of guide setting who's new to the class. Why are we soul burning in the middle of our damage CD? Nobody understands it. It's totally fine. I get it, but like, it feels bad. One shard handling gul'dans aren't lucrative. They're awkward. It's subpar rotationally. It makes awkward for, it just makes awkward rotational fluidity. It's just not good. That rotational stuff is very odd. I know I've heard in the past that people, that they want to keep it that way to encourage rotational changes and all stuff. It's just not good gameplay wise. It's not fun gameplay, right? So I'd love to see Portal changed to be when, you know, you summon X pets based on the number of shards spent every time you spend shards. So Handy Gul'dan at 3 shards summons 3 pets. Handy Gul'dan at 1 summons 1 pet. That would be an incredible change. You have to change this as well because there's a chance to, I guess it sort of works still technically. Maybe some tuning here and there, but I mean, you know, it is what it is, right? Now, the big thing here with Demonology, and the thing I want to drive home is, I think, so when it came to Shadowlands, Demonology had both Demonic Consumption, which is Reign of Tyranny now without stamina scaling, and we had Wilfrid's, which is now Grand Warlock's design, and they're separate from one another, right? You had Legendary being Wilfrid's, and you had Demonic Consumption being a talent. Obviously, Demo's damage profile has been retooled a bit. You have Portal and Single Target and all that stuff, right? If you're not playing another Portal right now, your damage is putrid in Single Target. It is not good. You need Portal to be good in Single Target. You just do, right? I think a decent bit of that is due to Reign of Tyranny being pretty undertuned. It was buffed a few weeks ago, but it's still worse than this by a few thousand DPS in Sims. It needs substantial buffs. But I think a great way to go about that is probably buff it a little bit. It's still pretty bad. But decouple Reign of Tyranny and Grand Warlock's design. Now, this has been talked about a million times. I don't believe you can put this in the clash tree due to Tyrant and Infernal and Dark Lair all being an actual talent and spec trees and an option to be able to skip them. I get it. I understand. You're preaching to the choir. I get it. I don't think Blizz will do it. But what I'm saying is, regardless, I think to make Demo and even Destro, and I'll talk about that in, you know, later videos, to make all 3 specs feel just so much better, like so much more fun and exciting to play, you have to decouple the choice node of Reign of Tyranny and Grand Warlock's design, right? I mean, Demo's strength back in Shadowlands was having Minute Tyrant. That was a strong 1 minute base cooldown. Obviously, it was a little OP with stamina scaling and things, right? But you can tune around that, right? But having a 1.5 minute Tyrant with a 2 minute Grimoire with a 45-second Vile Theme with Dog, it just feels awkward. Or you have minute 10 Tyrant with 2 minute Delgard with 45 Vile Fiend. And this might not change a whole lot here, but I mean, it feels good at least when you have a cooldown every minute, and it's strong, and it's powerful. But Tyrant, after the buffs to Vile Fiend, it's going to do less damage than Summon Vile Fiend does in single target when it comes to like Demon Fire damage versus Vile Fiend. And yes, once again, Tyrant does buff every pet, make them live longer, so it actually does more damage than Vile Fiend, but you get what I'm saying, right? Now, the question is, where would you put Grand Warlock's design? Because you want to have it somewhere in the tree here where it connects to Tyrant. You can't put it over here, I don't think. Maybe they could. I'd love to see it, but either way, I think an incredible option is to get rid of this. Just get it out of here. It's not good. Get rid of Pact of the Ant Mother and put Grand Warlock's design right here. You can literally keep it the same way. Grand Warlock's design goes right here. It comes out of Tyrant, so it's like, hey, if you want this, you got to build into here. I guess you have Antoran armaments going into it as well, which is an odd sort of choice node, but I mean, it sort of is what it is. You can put that there, or you can just put for Reign of Tyranny, for example. There's a handful of things you can do. You can put it here, get rid of this, right? Get rid of Pact of the Ant Mother. Just put it there. It comes out of Tyrant. It works. It's all right. Maybe there's some weird like confusion with like going into Antoran and Grand Warlock's design, but not through Tyrant. It's hard to say. Or you could literally just add Soulbound Tyrant back to Tyrant baseline. This is Baleful Invocation, the 5 shards being generated when you cast Tyrant, right? Just add this back to Tyrant, tack it back on, right? Baseline Tyrant gets Soulbound Tyrant, Put Reign of Tyranny here. Make it a 2-point node. Make it literally 3.5% and then 7% or whatever. Make it 2 points. I'm not in love with that, but it is what it is. And then put Grand Warlock's design right here. So it goes Tyrant with this thing built in, right? Tyrant, Reign of Tyranny, rank 1, rank 2, and then Grand Warlock's design. That's even sort of like, okay, if you want this, you have to commit more points to this, but you can sort of do it, right? It even makes, if Blizz is worried about Reign of Tyranny and Wilfred's being too OP, I mean, well, okay, you got to commit 3 points to it now instead of 2. But you can tune around that. It makes the spec feel so much better, right? You can still go Tyrant into Reign of Tyranny. It'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can go like, I guess, 9, 10. There's combinations you can make work. But I think the biggest thing for Demonology is decoupling Grand Warlock's design and Reign of Tyranny. Maybe buffing Reign of Tyranny a little bit. But like, it makes the spec feel so much better. It's similar to like Destruction. A 3-minute Infernal versus a 2-minute Infernal. 2-minute Infernal is playing a different spec. You are playing a different game with 2-minute Infernal. 3-minute Infernal just feels bad. Minute and a half Tyrant with just odd CDs, everything else, and just how undertuned Reign of Tyranny is also makes Tyrant awkward. And also just like desyncing these two and giving you options to take both sort of buffs Reign of Tyranny in a sense as well. Sort of buffs Reign of Tyranny in a sense as well. So I think gameplay wise, it makes the spec so much more enjoyable, exciting, fun, everything like that, all the above. If I can get one wish, it's to desync Grand Warlock's design and Reign of Tyranny from the choice node and let me have fun playing Demonology, because that's what I really, really want. This is not affecting Demon Fire. From the Shadows is not increasing Tyrant's Demon Fire damage. I don't know why, but we need to fix that bug, because that's a little awkward too, and that will indeed be a bit of an increase when it comes to Demo single target damage. So overall, though, there's a structure here for Demonology to be the most enjoyable spec in the game, hands down, at least to me. But like, Demo at its core is still fun. I enjoy it, but there's some nuances. With Nether Portal, having these two coupled together is very, very frustrating at times. Like, the potential is there to be so much fun. So much fun. It's so close to being there, but it's just a little ways away. So hopefully 10.0.7 or 10.1, Blizzard takes note of this and changes things and goes from there. But that is how I feel about the current state of Demonology. So thanks for watching, guys. That should wrap it up. Hopefully I hit on all the choice nodes. I guess just talents and things that you wanted to hit on or hear. In the end, it went a bit longer than I wanted to. I could talk about Demonology for an hour or two. I could ramble for a while. I can ramble in the first place, but I really enjoy Demonology. I think it's the current version of Demo just feels a bit awkward at times. Once again, cooldown timings, 2 minutes, 45 seconds, a minute and a half, minute 10, 20. It's awkward with RNG mixed in there as well. Nether Portal's casting, one shard, alternating abilities, stuff feels awkward as well. But the big thing, like I said, well, Guillotine's obviously awkward too. Big thing though, I really want Grand Warlock's design and Reign of Tyranny decoupled from the choice node. That would make Demonology feel so much better. Tuning wise, everything else, and just going from there. I do enjoy the baseline gameplay of Demo right now. You still have dogs, still have imps, still have demonic strengths, spell storms. Even if Hand of Doom came back, that'd be insane. It'd be so much fun. They could buff Guillotine, make that good again. I love to throw a huge axe down. That'd be fun. There's a lot of things with Demo that feel really good. It's just some things like Portal Shard spending, Tyrant Tree Capstone, Fell Covenant, RNG, weird timings that make it feel a bit clunky. But the cool thing is that these will all be addressed in the baseline core just structure of Demo's actual damage profile and the way it functions. The way it functions is still there. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, put them down below in the comment section. Be sure to get back to you. If you have any comments or anything like that, put them in there as well, and I'll take a look. Once again, any week warriors, add-ons, and profiles in the video. Links to Twitch and Discord down below. They're all for free for you guys. And I also want to give one huge shout out again, as always, to my patrons, guys. Thank you a million times for all support on Patreon. I really appreciate it. Always do. Thank you a million times, guys. It allows me to keep doing what I'm doing for you guys, making content, and yeah, I just really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. So now I'd assume we're probably, I don't think patch 10.0.7 is hitting for a little while. I was surprised we even got a PTR for it, but I'm also a bit curious how close we are to 10.1, because I would assume with how fast things are moving, we're probably in the next raid by end of May at the latest, maybe early June. That's like 5 months away from now, and that was like cancel Nathria into SOD content duration, I think, right? So, I mean, I would assume we see a 10.1 PTR within a month or so still, even with 10.0.7 being out. And I guess 0.5's out now still too, but we'll see where it goes. TL, just please help me somewhere with some Warlock stuff. So if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like and sub buttons below. It helps out a ton. And I will have the Destro and AF videos also going up in a couple days from now and all that. So we kill Razziat tomorrow, hopefully, on stream. If you want to come by and see that, yeah, links down below. But all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.